trees. Still good. What do you mean? Ugh, bright light.
It's the Gulf of Mexico speed.
Okay, I'm in the wrong place.
You can't stand it.
You want to go in front of me? No. Way out over there.
Way over there.
Oh, that's a water slide.
I didn't pick this thing. It's like dotted with vendors.
I think during certain hours there.
I hope it's not. Kind of defeats the purpose. It's clear. Well, the water's probably 85 degrees. Look at the pelicans today.
Are you ready? You're still good.
Who you videotape?
Hold on. Hey, how are you?
Was that tasty? Now go back up.
lot of things already figured out.
You can walk while you do it. You can get tires taken off.
Kid would love that. First floor. Last time I told Bryce to shut up and go back.
The lights came on over there in some of the buildings. Some of the lights came on over there on the buildings. I thought they had these in Boston. I thought they had sunset cruises in Boston.
Yeah, they might, but you're not going to see it like this.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, that's good. Especially for an iPhone. Those clouds.
Yep. Just started to crest the horizon.
See all the different colors.
cheering.
And I could hear them clapping down there.
Uh-huh.
I could hear people clapping down there.
Yeah, they're cheering the sunset.
Yeah.
It's all backwards.
Low battery, that would be good.
It's all backwards.
I thought you said low battery.
There we go.
Alltså kom inte an på håret. I'm taking. Ma devo c'è amico. Sono prodotti delle paure. Ho smesso però. Keep moving. I think it's an octopus. It is an octopus. Sabrina, there's an octopus over there. You see it? She's filming it.
Otters! Oh my god! It's an otter!
No, he's just hanging out. There's two of them.
Looks like the cat.
What's he doing? There's one there and there's one just not there. You're trying to get up and stop. Yeah, there's the other one. Will's going swimming. No, we don't need to put There's toy. He's playing hide and seek for himself.
Oh, it's just over there just chilling. He's telling me that's unspeakable.
And here you go, Laura. And here's the dolphin. Here you go.
Magic.
course it is.
There's one way down there too.
Oh yeah. Mysterious.
He's looking right at it. Oh, look at those people.
There's a presentation here in 5 minutes, or there's one with the big pelican.
Pelican.
You guys will be meeting Ricky today. She's the one all the way on the far left, kind of looking this direction almost right now. So I'm going to bring you guys back to here. Parents, we are going to be coming out of the far back door where the hose is coming over right now. And then you'll be able to get the hose right around here. We stay here and then I will go back. Yeah, so our professional will be in taking pictures with them. And then once all four of them are done, they'll start out to the wash. Let's see, mine means space.
Where's one drill this?
Oh, Rufus? In that movie? Yeah. Oh, that's Rufus. The hair.
There's two. There's two. Rufus is the big one. Where? Which one's
Look at him. Matthew's the tallest one there. Rufus was the one next to him. But
Is Rufus the
they moved around.
tallest?
I think that's him right there actually now.
That one's mouse is so big.
Every pelican's mouth is big. They're eating fish.
They're eating fish out of their dinner.
Look at his hair. Yeah, right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rufus Beach. My name is Megan, and I'm a marine mammal training intern here at Clearwater Marine Aquarium.
Oh, I thought he
During our presentation, feel free to look at our pelicans. I'm just going to be standing back here narrating, but I promise our pelicans are going to be way cooler than me. Here at Clearwater Marine Aquarium, we believe in preserving our environment while inspiring community through leadership in the rescue, rehabilitation, and release of marine life, environmental education, research, and conservation. This mission allows us to not only make animals in their natural environment, but provides a second chance at life for those animals who have been deemed non-releasable. Here during your visit throughout our aquarium, you have all been deemed non-releasable for a variety of different reasons. Here in Rufus Beach, we have 4 great white pelicans. We have Matthew, who is the tallest, second away from us. Closest to us, we have Tyndall. Looking at the side door right now, closest to that, now stepping backwards, is Ricky. And Skylar is going to be the one with that crest or that kind of mohawk funky looking hairdo. Now we're going to talk about Ricky first, who is the farthest away over in that corner, standing by Matthew, who is the tallest, because she is our star here at Rufus Beach. Ricky was hatched at a facility in 2004 here in Florida. And then here in the movie industry, she starred in the movie Don't Mess with a Zohan by Adam Sandler. And then she also starred as Rufus in Dolphin Tale. Now, Ricky was the only bird who played the role of Rufus in Dolphin Tale. We actually had 2 birds who played the role of Rufus in the first Dolphin Tale, and 4 birds who played the role of Rufus in the second Dolphin Tale. Now, you guys may be wondering why so she has that crest or that mohawk, so that's one good reason. If you look right next to her eyes, right above her bill, she has a little knob, a little protrusion, and so does Ricky. That's another good reason. And then what color do our pelicans look to you guys? Are they white? They look kind of pink. Yeah, I hear that they're kind of pink. And if you look at their chest, they're a little bit yellow. So they aren't white, and this is a third reason. So all of these reasons are hormonal changes that will change throughout the year. So Skylar here, she won't have that little mohawk throughout the whole year. She just has it right now, as well as that knob. And all of our birds will change colors and range from an orangey yellow to a pink hue and white throughout the year. So in order to get around these hormonal changes, we actually had to have multiple birds play the role of Rufus to have a completely white bird throughout the whole entire filming process. After Ricky's role in Dolphin Tale, she retired here to become an animal ambassador for her wild counterparts, and she is currently 14 years old. I want to talk about our next female, Skylar. I mentioned her with the little crest on her back of the forehead, or the back of the head region. I also like to call it a little mohawk, because that's what it looks like to us. But Skylar is 10 years old. She was rehomed to our aviary about 2.5 to 3 years ago to become a social companion for Ricky. And that moves on with our two males. We have Matthew, who is strutting his stuff to the right door, and then we have Tyndall all the way on our left. Our two boys are 6 years old, and they were rehomed about 1.5 to 2 years ago to become social companions for Ricky and Skylar. We introduced Matthew and Tyndall to Ricky and Skylar on Valentine's Day of last year. So they just had their 1-year friendship anniversary of being together. Now we interact very closely with our resident non-releasable animals to ensure that they are provided with high-quality care. As part of this care, we train using positive reinforcement, which means that we reinforce any behaviors we'd like to see repeated, and simply ignore any behaviors that are undesirable. And encourage their natural behaviors. So on the back we have a grab for
The big one doesn't
we also have
the big one doesn't need
I will change out their enrichment throughout the day, multiple times a day, to see that the stimulated and encourage their natural behaviors. Now another thing we have.
It's actually a government organization that is in charge of all cetacean, stranding, and rescue events. So for anyone who doesn't know what the word cetacean means, that's just the scientific word for any dolphin, whale, or porpoise. So the easiest way to explain how we rescue these animals here in our rescue team is to set up a little scenario. So if you imagine you're walking along Clearwater Beach on a nice sunny day like today, and you come across a stranded dolphin up on the beach, your first instinct might be to push that dolphin back into the water, because we all know they don't belong up on the sand, they belong out in the ocean. And there are a lot of videos going around on social media of people doing that and coming together to try to help push a stranded dolphin or whale back out into the water. But that's actually the last thing that you want to do if you do ever come across a stranded animal. These animals are very intelligent, so usually when they strand, it's for a reason, and that reason is usually
of rescue, rehabilitation, and release. So does anybody know what we're doing on this boat today? Okay, good. So please don't be upset with us. We might have tricked you. We're going to go to the beach and do the trash cleanup for the next 90 minutes. Thanks for volunteering. So kind of all of you.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm kidding, guys. We're going to have a little bit more fun than that. Some of you may have noticed this green net on the bow of the boat when you were boarding. We're going to be using this net today to survey the seagrass beds out here. We are gathering real scientific data on this vessel. So all of you are honorary marine biologists today. And with our net pool, we're establishing something called baseline data, and I'll get a little bit more into detail when we get closer to our net pool location. As you can see, I do have an onboard aquarium right here. I will keep an ambassador of each species that we come across, unless, of course, it's an animal I don't want to keep on board, and we do catch those in our nets occasionally, things like sharks and stingrays. If I catch one of those animals, I'm going to show it to you, but then release it right away. The same is true for any species that are prone to stress. So some fish species like anchovies, for example. I had a wonderful net a couple of weeks ago where we counted out 592 anchovies, and they tend to drop their scales when they're stressed out. So if I was to put them in here, this would turn into a snow globe in no time. And some of you might be trying to get away from cold weather, so I'm not about to remind you of winter while you're down here in Florida. But as you can see, we have lots of cool species. We had an excellent net pool to start our day today. But we also could possibly see other wildlife out here too. Things like dolphins, manatees, sea turtles, sharks, rays, jellyfish, all sorts of birds, and all sorts of fish species. So I think it's probably safe to assume everybody on board knows what a dolphin looks like, right? Alright, if you see a dolphin, primarily their triangular shaped dorsal fin, that fin on their back. If you see that and you're sure it's a dolphin, what I want you to do is point and yell dolphin. That way Captain Gary and myself know there's one in the area. In addition to seagrass bed research, a big part of my job is research on the local wild dolphin population. And we have about 130 individuals out here we can recognize from their dorsal fins alone. So if we see a dolphin, there's a good chance I'll be able to tell you who it is and a little bit about them. In fact, this morning we saw Callie and her calf, which was born on April 4th. So it is a very, very young dolphin. If we're really lucky, we might see them again, but dolphins tend to not stay put, so there's a good chance we won't, but keep your eyes open for those dolphins. And anybody else we might possibly see, I can tell you a little bit about their backstory as well. But it is an exciting time of year, because in addition to being breeding season for dolphins, it's also birthing season, since their gestation is about 12 months long. So we have had 3 calves born in the past 3 weeks here in our bay. So if we're really lucky, we might run into one of those calves. After our net pool, we're going to stop at a small island. You guys can be able to get off the boat, walk around that island. You can even pick up some shells that you may take home with you if you'd like, just as long as there's nothing living in or on those shells. And after we leave the island, we're going to do our show and tell, or our show and shell, if you will. And that's where we're going to talk about some of the common shells we find on that island, maybe help you identify what you have found, and I'll give you some information about the animals that inhabit those shells. And then we'll put our species that we have from our net pool into smaller containers, and we'll walk them around to you. So no worries if you can't see this aquarium from where you're seated. You'll be able to see all these animals up close at some point today. Now before we get too far into our tour, it's always a good idea to get to know each other a little bit, since we have darker patches of water. Now usually darker water means deeper water. But here in Clearwater Bay, it's just the opposite. Those darker patches are generally shallower regions, and that's where the seagrass is growing. So since seagrass is a green plant, it has to go through photosynthesis, so it can only grow in those areas where sunlight can reach the ocean floor. That's only in the shallow regions. Lucky for us, this bay on average is about 3 to 5 feet deep. That surprises a lot of people. So we often joke, if you were to go overboard, don't panic, just stand up. Walk right back to us, it'll be just fine. That being said, we are traveling in channels. You can see those marked by these orange and green signs, like channel marker 10 right there. And inside the channel has been dredged out, meaning dug out by man, so it's like 10 to 15 feet below us right now, but just a few feet outside those channel markers, back to about 3 to 5 feet on average. So you can actually see some seagrass beds over to your right-hand side. You see those dark patches of water. There's also a few signs over there that say seagrass area. That usually helps. You're going to be able to see even better as we get a little bit further up. But seagrass is not only going to be a great hiding place for a lot of juvenile animals, it's also going to be a food source for some animals. Anybody want to raise their hand and tell me a marine animal that might be feeding on seagrass? You might wonder, why is their name green sea turtle? It's actually because of all that plant material that they eat. The chlorophyll and chloroplast, that's the green pigment inside of plants, ends up in their fatty tissues inside. Important is we can compare and contrast numbers before and after an event like an oil spill. You guys probably remember the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico a few years back? Now we know that was very bad for the environment. However, they didn't have a lot of baseline data established there. So instead of scientists being able to say, this oil spill has resulted in this species population declining by 20%, they just had to say it was bad. We'd like to be a little bit more exact and precise than it was bad. So we'll be proactive getting that data now. We can compare and contrast numbers before and after a hurricane or something like red tide. Or we can just use it for general studies, because we're going to take into account environmental factors like, why can't I get that around there? Oh, that's why, yeah. Kara. You like to blame everything on Kara for whatever reason. So we look at things like water temperature and tide levels and salinity and pH. And so what we can do is look at a species abundance versus temperature. So we can see, as our water temperature increases in our bay, does that species abundance go up or down? We can figure out some of the patterns that they tend to have, and the environmental factors that they tend to prefer, like warmer waters or higher salinities, so on and so forth. So we're about to start our forgetful, if you guys would like, you can come up front and watch us. I just ask that even if these ropes are down, that you don't pass this threshold right here, but you're more welcome to come right up front.
Moves around a lot. Drinks up full of water.
Be in charge of the night.
What do you think we got?
Set up.
Look, fishy. No. Sandals fall in the water. You walk barefoot.
This on that little stand right in front of the aquarium.
Did somebody sit in here?
Alright, so this net hole might have not been as full as our first one, but that's okay. We have a lot of cool species on board that we don't see every day already. But we did get at least something in here. All of this stuff you see floating around in here is not seagrass. It's actually a type of algae. We call this sea lettuce. Sometimes it's green, sometimes it's red. But we have no seagrass in here. So seagrass is green. So you can tell the difference. Well, that's actually a little bit of seagrass right there. So it kind of looks like the actual land. There's nothing that, but we did have a little hermit crab. Displace all that sand, they had to put it somewhere. So about every 1,000 meters or so, they put a pile of it in the middle of the bay. Now, lots of them have washed away and are now parts of our beaches. Some of them remain. This one during low tide is probably about 40 or 50 feet across. Right now, you can hardly see it. And then the one that we're going to stop at is the one that you can see out in front of us. Don't actually have a few plants take root, so it's growing in size. It collects sediment as our tides come in and bring more sediment with it. disembark. What's going to happen is she's going to put this ramp down, lock it in place. Once that ramp's in place, she'll give you guys a thumbs up. You'll be able to walk and roam the island. Now you may, once again, take home shells with you today, as long as there's nothing living in or on those shells. And that's not just for the sake of the animals, but also for the sake of your suitcase and your luggage. If you put a shell in your bag that has a hermit crab living inside of it, by the time you get home, I promise you, you're not going to want to wear those clothes ever again. So if you're unsure, just ask one of us. We'll be able to tell you something.
Is that recording?
Yeah.
We got a couple here, guys. So these are Atlantic bottlenose dolphins, just like Hope-Winter, Nicholas, and PJ inside the aquarium. There are two different subspecies of Atlantic bottlenose. That's Rogue. So Rogue is one of the very few dolphins in our study with a drop cut to her dorsal fin. We also have another one named Vulcan who looks very similar, but Rogue, you can see the second half of her fin is kind of bent over at a 90-degree angle, so that's how you can identify Rogue. And I'm trying to see who the other one is here. I need one more good look at it.
Right at the mark.
They were born about a month and a half ago. Can you believe that? So ospreys are monogamous breeding birds. They mate for life. They'll return to the same nest for their breeding season every year and then nest somewhere else the rest of the year. So that's really cool because this pair show up to the same nest. Late December is when we first see them. They'll clean up their nest because no one's been using it for a few months. And then they'll establish themselves in the area, lay an egg, or a couple eggs.
Introduce you to our only male dolphin, and his name is Nicholas. Now, Nicholas came to us back in 2002 with his mother, Noelle. So with names like Nicholas and Noelle, does anyone know what time of the year they were rescued? Yes, Christmas time, exactly. Christmas Eve to be exact. Here at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium, we are very creative when it comes to naming our animals. What time of the year was winter found? Winter. Yes. Winter time, exactly. Easter, you got it. So Noelle out in the wild, she got very sick. Now when dolphins get sick, just like us, they want to conserve their energy, they want to find somewhere to lay down. So it's exactly what Noelle did. Nicholas is going to say hello to you guys. You guys give him a big round of applause. That was a beautiful entrance. A little delayed, but it was beautiful. So Noelle got very sick. She beached herself, but at that time she had a baby dolphin with her who didn't know any better but to follow Mom every single place she went. So Nicholas stranded alongside Mom onto the beach, and because they were on the beach for a prolonged period of time, they did both suffer second and third degree sunburns about 30% of their body. So as Nicholas swims around his environment, you're going to notice from his melon, which is the forehead area of a dolphin, down his back to his dorsal fin, he does have some significant scarring in result of that sunburn. Now he did go through 10 months of treatment for those burns to completely heal over. This happened 16 years ago, so they are healed now. But just like us, if we were to cause an injury to our skin or burn our skins, it would leave some bumps, bruises, discoloration, scar tissue as well. So that's exactly what you're seeing on Nick's back today. It's completely healed up. However, that is not the reason why he's still here today. He's actually still here because unfortunately, after a few days of rehab care, his mother Noelle did not end up making it. She did have a very bad upper respiratory infection, which we believe was the causing of her stranding, unfortunately causing her to pass away, leaving Nick here a baby orphan dolphin at only 6 months old. Now baby dolphins, they typically nurse from mom for about a year to 2 years old, and they can spend up to 7 years learning everything from mom. So by a show of hands, how many of you guys think 7 years is a long time for a baby dolphin to be with mom? Okay, I usually see a lot of kids with their hands up when I ask that question. That's because you parents know better, right? You have your children for at least 18 years, sometimes longer. If you're anything like my brother, it's 26 years he's married and he still lives with mom. It's true, it's true. Poor mom. Anyway, so these baby dolphins do need mom for up to 7 years. Nicholas did not have that, so he was determined by the United States government as non-releasable and has been under our care ever since. Now when an animal is determined as non-releasable, that's when our job gets to come into play. Because now it's our job to make sure we provide them with the best care possible the entirety of their life. So we do get to build a very strong and healthy relationship with each of our non-releasable animals. So throughout your visit today, I'm sure you guys noticed that we do get to interact very closely with Nicholas, along with the other 3 dolphins inside, even down to our otters, pelicans, sea turtles, and even our nurse sharks. We get to build a relationship with them, interact with them very closely, feed them right to their mouth, and that's because we want to build that relationship with them, because we want to have a trusting foundation with them. We do ask them very, very important questions, and everything we do here at the aquarium is voluntary. So that means the animal always has a choice whether or not they want to participate in anything we ask them to do. And if we don't have a relationship with them, they're probably not going to voluntarily participate in much. They know that no matter what they do throughout their day, whether they decide to participate or not, they're still going to receive all of their food. So we want to make sure we have that very strong relationship with them. Our dolphins alone, they receive 6 to 8 hours of our undivided attention every single day. It is not us just coming out for training sessions. Our training sessions are usually 10 to 15 minutes long. And if we did that 8 hours every single day, that's a lot of training. Even we wouldn't be able to do that much. So a lot of that time is playtime with these animals, offering them different things that they seem to enjoy. Nicholas really seems to enjoy a cute little hide and seek game like that you just saw Gabby do. And we come up with fun little games with them that they seem to get amped up about and everything like that. And that's how we build a relationship, by putting a lot of our time into their day and hanging out at the poolside and offering them things that they seem to enjoy. Now, all of our training sessions here at the aquarium are done through positive reinforcement, so that means we draw a lot of positive attention to things that we want to see repeated. So when we ask the animal a question, they knew exactly what we were looking for. What do you guys think we reinforce them with?
Food.
Treats, fish, exactly. Nick here eats 16 pounds of food every day. But believe it or not, he does not eat all 16 pounds at once. He'd be a pretty stuffed turkey and not show up the rest of the day. So we do strategically plan up his food to start 7:30 in the morning for breakfast to last him about 7:30 at night for his last meal of the day. And even though we can make a plan all we want, they always change that plan. Sometimes they may not be hungry, sometimes they may not be food motivated. Their stomach is a certain size, so even though 400-pound animal you probably think is always hungry, not the case. If he's not hungry, he will not take the fish. He'll literally close his mouth and say no thank you. And that's okay. So we find other things that seem reinforcing to them as well, so we can switch up his reinforcement. And working with Nick for a long time, we know that he loves, or seems to love, lots of back rubs, lots of love, lots of kisses, being told he's a very handsome boy, which he is. And, yeah, exactly, right? It's like you knew I said that. And his favorite toys in his environment as well. Now, if we ask the animal a question and they didn't do what we were looking for, what do you guys think we do? Nothing, exactly, no. We do nothing, nothing at all. We ignore it. You know, we definitely don't say, bad dolphin, go to your room, give me your shell phone. You see one of my earlier presentations? Okay, he's been here a lot, so I know my jokes. Okay, good one. Yeah, we don't do that. We just ignore it. So we, you know, we definitely don't take away the shell phone, but we can ask the same question, maybe getting a different result. We might ask different questions to move on with the session, or even take a short recess and come back a little later. Now, we do train here at the aquarium for 3 main categories of training. The first one is going to be for husbandry behaviors. Husbandry refers to medical management. Okay, we're going cognitive. So first one that we train for here at the aquarium is for cognitive behaviors. Cognitive refers to exercising your brain. It's something if you don't use it, you lose it. And they don't live with any sharks, so they don't have to worry about the same things they have to worry about out in the wild. So we get them thinking in other aspects. Here, Cami is asking Nicholas for what's called a remote behavior. So Nicholas knows a lot of behaviors stationary right in front of us, but we do add extra challenges to existing behaviors that he already knows and simple behaviors by asking him to go out into a different location of his pool and pay attention from a further location. Just like that. Now this bridge right here, this whistle that we wear around our necks, when we blow this whistle, this usually means good job, you did exactly what I was looking for. Now you may terminate what I asked you to do and come back to me and receive some type of reinforcement. But with this remote behavior, yes, he receives a whistle saying good job between each behavior, but he should not come back until he is asked back to us. So he did an excellent job at that behavior. And then this one right here is one of my favorite behaviors to watch. It is called creative. So when Cami claps her hands together like that, that cues to Nicholas, please go do anything you want. You can do anything at all, whether we trained it or you come up with it and it's something we've never seen before. Do anything in the world that you want. But the catch is, the second time he sees those hands clap together, he could do anything he wants. It just can't be the one that he already previously offered us. So he has to come up with a couple different behaviors, which is really cool. So if he sees those hands clap 10 times together, he should come up with 10 different behaviors. And sometimes he comes up with really, really funny ones and things that we've never seen him do before, and they're really crazy. But it's really cool to watch him get those wheels turning. And we're always training these animals something new. So since Nick's been with us for 16 years, it doesn't just mean he knows 5 behaviors and that's it. He's still learning years and years later, and we're always challenging him by adding new challenges to existing behaviors that he already knows, like going out into the middle of the pool. Sometimes they can play rough with their toys. The girls inside can play rough with each other. So we want to make sure that they don't have any scrapes, scratches, bruises on them that don't belong. So we can ask them to lay out in front of us. What we're asking him for right now is a respiratory sample. So that is a loud exhale out of his blowhole, pulled a chuff. So you can take a listen. Now you guys can actually give him a big round of applause. Let him know that you guys are excited, that he did a great job. So we're going to go ahead and ask him again, possibly. Or we're going to take a look at his eyes now. So we do this a couple times a day by doing the DPEs, just to make sure that he looks nice and healthy, that he doesn't have anything on the outside of his body that doesn't belong. But we can also voluntarily collect samples like you just saw. We can voluntarily collect urine samples, fecal samples, gastric samples, respiratory samples, which you just watched, and even a blood sample. Now we don't collect them daily and we don't collect these samples weekly, but we will collect them quarterly throughout their year. So these dolphins do not speak our language and we do not speak their language, so they cannot communicate to us if they are feeling ill or sick or if something on the inside of them is funky. So we proactively collect a couple samples throughout their year just to make sure that everything is running a-okay. Now sometimes, even though we only collect the samples a couple times a year, we still practice them on a daily basis. So that right there, asking Nicholas to lay backwards like that and him getting really excited, I'll tell you why, is because that is how we would collect a blood sample. So once again, we collect it quarterly, so a couple times throughout his year, and we would collect it from the tail flukes. That is the easiest spot to find a vein on a dolphin. So every dolphin under human care would go ahead and give us a blood sample from their tail flukes, except for one dolphin. Does anyone know which dolphin? Winter, very good. That's because she doesn't have tail flukes, so we would collect it from her dorsal fin. The dorsal fin is the next easiest spot to find that vein. But even though we just laid him out, we didn't collect the sample right there. That's just working an approximation of the behavior, so we can put a lot of reinforcement toward it because we want them to feel very comfortable with what we are asking of them. So we collect the blood sample 4 times a year, and that's the only time they're seeing the setup, the only time they're seeing the needle or vet staff. They're probably not going to voluntarily participate and they might not be very comfortable doing it. But if we practice it on a day-to-day basis all the time and we put a lot of reinforcement in the bank of those behaviors, then they are more willing to participate voluntarily in that whenever we go to collect that sample. And then it makes it less stressful for us, less stressful for them as well, and less stressful on our veterinarian staff involved as well. Now here's that DP that I was talking about, so we can ask him to do a dorsal layout. So that means taking a look at his dorsal side. So everything from his rostrum, take a look at his sunburn, making sure that nothing looks different there. And then everything down to his tail flukes. We can ask him for his lateral side, ask him to do a quarter turn, take a look at his side. We can ask him to look at his ventral side, at the underside of him. And it's all just to make sure that everything on the outside of this animal looks a-okay. We can even ask him to open his mouth so we can take a look at his teeth and his tongue. And he's very proud of himself. So that's one thing that we love about Nicholas. I don't know if you can tell, but he does celebratory laps before he gets his reinforcement. So he'll do a little bit of a lap. Sometimes there'll be a really fast lap, and sometimes he'll even do a touchdown dance in the middle of a pool. He gets really, really amped when he's a very, very proud boy of himself. But we train all of these behaviors proactively to make sure that we better care for them and that they are voluntarily participating in their health care here at our facility. Now the third and final final reason why we train here at the aquarium is for physical exercise, to make sure that these animals stay physically fit the entirety of their life. So because we give Nick 16 pounds of food every single day, if we don't ask him to exercise, he's going to become a pretty fluffy dolphin. We want to make sure that these animals stay physically fit with an overall nice, healthy heart. So he's going to show you a couple of these high energy behaviors right here. So this right here is called a belly breach. Guys, give him a big round of applause. That's beautiful. Now that right there that they're using are called target pulls. That is how we train all of these behaviors. The first concept they understand here under our care is to touch the end of that target with their rostrum. When they understand that, we can then communicate and shape their bodies into different ways. So right here, we're asking Nicholas to jump in this position, get that high, and shape his body out on his belly. So take a look. Beautiful. Wow, that was right in Gabby's face. You did a great job. So you guys give him one more big round of applause. That was beautiful. He's celebrating somewhere. He'll be back. There he is. Sure. So this is actually going to be your splash warning. I heard someone say, uh-oh. Yeah, so he does know to get the first 3 rows splash, and he can reach up there, so you guys aren't safe either. Sorry. Just a warning. I will be hiding right here. But our permanent residents here because they are determined as permanent. We would never interact with their wild counterparts in the same way, shape, or form. It's actually very illegal to do so. So if you see them out in the wild, make sure you observe them the dolphin smart way. Stay at least 50 yards away. If you try and interact with them, whether it be trying to touch them, swim with them, feed them, harm or harass them in any way, shape, or form, you can actually suffer up to a couple $100,000 worth of fines or up to a few years in jail. We do take those laws very, very seriously, and that is because we want wild animals to stay wild. Now I would like to take this opportunity to thank you guys so much for coming out to the Clearwater Marine Aquarium today and supporting our mission of rescue, rehabilitation, and release. If it wasn't for you guys and our friends at Clearwater Toyota, none of this would be possible. So on behalf of all of our animals, both rescue, resident, and Nick himself, thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everyone.